I was betrayed by the person that should have known better. He knew what I wanted, and he said he was going to get me what I wanted. Well, no, it ended up being what he wanted.
Oh my God.
Look! Look, the dynamic duo!
Oh my God. No way.
And there's no way I'm going to take this lying down. I'm going to pummel these guys until they come to their senses and give me what, if they had a conscience, a stronger conscience. One has none, the other does. And I'm trying to appeal to that to make him see reason and to dump his potential millions that he'll make as a result of this happening, this live action movie, and saying you've got enough money. You don't need it with Nexus because I'm just going to put you through hell if you think you can pull this over on me.
If I may ask, that's it's a fascinating thing to us. If you watch any of our previous shows, Kevin and I, we lament about why Hollywood makes the decisions that they make, and like, what is the objection? You've got Nexus, you've got the groundwork, you've got the success, you've got the response, you've got the test market. If I may ask, what's the objection? Where's the conflict?
Well, what I want is what other people don't want, especially the two people I'm working with now. So that's a dead end right there. The biggest problem I've had, which I think is important to impart to people listening here, is that that it's so one-sided, it's ridiculous. I give them 1,000% of the feedback, and they literally give me nothing. So what kind of relationship can exist when you give them all the ideas that you want and have known that you wanted for the entire duration of these 40 years, and you get literally no response from these guys? What reality are they come? Are they a glitch in the matrix the whole time? Because I don't get these guys one bit. But there's literally no communication, none.
Do you
That's not a
think
human
it's
being, that's a
more?
mannequin.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I think you heard that, but that's not even a human being to me.
Do you
That's a
think
automaton.
it's more of an ego thing? Franz and I were talking about this earlier this morning. Do you think it's more of an egotistical approach, or is it something else on the creative end?
It's very self-centered. These guys are doing what they do because they want what they want. One of them has got so much money he doesn't need a cent more. He's set for life and probably the next 5 lifetimes of his offspring. So he doesn't need that. But there's, people that are out for the deal. You apparently what happens is you can never get enough. There's always the next deal. You make even more and more and more. But I think these people are so misled psychologically and morally that they're hopeless.
Can you help me up? This is such a fascinating subject to me, and I promise you, it's something we talk about all the time. But can you help me understand the the conflict? What do they want that contradicts what you want? Like, in other words, what's the problem exactly? One example of the many problems. Do they want to change the costume, for example? Is it that they don't want Sandra Peel to be in? Like, what's the conflict?
Well, given the fact that they don't communicate with me, I can only tell you what I know, which is next to nothing from their viewpoint. But they, one of the people I'm working with doesn't need the money. I've mentioned that. The other people do need the money, so that's a huge thing, impetus, um, goal of theirs to sustain their company through a deal.
Okay.
But beyond that, what I've gotten to them is I get a better AI response than I get from them.
So,
Intelligence.
so, so these are the two guys that are producers that obviously love Nexus and are aware of it,
They do, yeah.
who reach out to you and say, "Hey, listen, I've got the funding, I've got the capital. Let's make a Nexus movie." You agree to let's do it. Let's absolutely do a Nexus live action movie. Why not? And then, okay, let's collaborate. So far so good. Fans with capital. You can't ask for better than that. Where does it go off the rails? Like, where does it go off the rails? I realize they're not communicating back, but why wouldn't they communicate back? Because they're fans who reached out to you. Like, I'm very confused. I'm confused.
But I know as much as you do. When people don't,
Really?
it's like having a relationship where I mean they don't even tell me that Senator Peel has to be black to fit in with the current thinking these days, or we need 20 transgenders in there, or we need an intelligent dog for to appeal for the kids. None of that is even being brought forth to me. None of that. But what is being brought forth is they have a script writer that for some reason they're entirely attached to for reasons they don't explain. Imagine having a relationship with somebody. Imagine if Franz was dealing with Kevin and it was 100% one-sided. You would say all these things and he would say nothing back. Well, you'd kind of have to wonder about the relationship after a while, right? Well, that's what I'm going through, and you're asking me things that I can't even answer because they don't talk to me. They don't answer me when I have given them probably over 100 emails telling them everything that I want and expect for this thing to work. My animated show, I don't give a damn about their movie, but that's what they're set on. So what they're so close to the hip with their responses. It's like they don't want to tell me anything. Well, it took me a long time again to realize, to think about why they're doing this. And the reason is they want to do what they do based on current things to make it big. If they're not doing it based on current things, and then that's why they're not talking about it, that I'm even more confused. But they've got their own thing that they want. They absolutely don't want any involvement with my cartoon show, which was the whole thing from the beginning here. That's all I wanted to do, and they knew that. And but that quickly got bypassed into what they wanted to do, and they actually produced a couple of minutes of the stuff. It's based on shooting live actors and putting lines around them and colorizing it. We've seen this stuff before, and I thought it was kind of neat. But literally every scintilla of imparting information of from where to go from there has been completely not there. It doesn't exist.
That's insane to me. Well, I'll say this: if you put Kevin and I on the job, we'll go after those guys and
Oh yes, sir.
and make sure that they get something done. That's insane to me. That's ridiculous to me, and I'm sorry that you have to go through that.
And I agree. It's literally insane. It's not part of a sane world that anybody could who has the the things that could make a movie with a property that they claim they love, and they completely omit the co-creator from the process.
That's insane. That's stupid. It's more than insane. Insanity you could almost understand. Stupidity, I don't understand. That's stupid. And then I always say there's a reason why the word stupid is created. It's not to put people down, but sometimes it applies. And that's a stupid decision. That's just wrong. And by the way, just so you know, this is not a gotcha show. So if you don't want to have this conversation published, we won't do that, because obviously you're in partnership with those guys and you may not want to, I don't know. But
the only thing I've done, Franz, is omit names. But
okay.
The reason I don't back off from talking about this stuff, people in power that want something to hide, and people don't expose them, they love that.
Yeah,
that's exactly what you should not do.
It's true. It's true.
They're so afraid of being exposed. I had someone break into my apartment one time back in Pasadena at night, and I called a neighborhood watch meeting. And everyone showed up in the entire building, and the cops came, and I said, why did they do this kind of stuff? Why did they do it when they do it? What's their thinking? And they said, well, they love the dark. They're very comfortable in the dark where they can't be seen or exposed. But when you bring them into the light, it's like turning on your light with a bunch of cockroaches in your kitchen. They
Interesting.
scatter, right? Okay, so that's my thinking is along those lines. So it's important that I say something, and the worst thing I can say is say nothing.
Agreed.
When somebody likes to work in the dark, that means they're being very secretive and they have their own way of doing things, and they don't want interference. Well, given the fact that they're taking our character, me and Baron's character, and doing exactly what I told them not to do, I believe that belongs into exposing them into the light category.
I agree. I agree. And that's courageous of you to do and important for you to do. And, we do these podcasts, but, I'm quite an accomplished person. And so as I said, if you want, and then, if you want us to
You
get
may
on the
be hearing
job.
from me on that, guys.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about something positive because I don't want to keep you forever. Nexus, the genius of Nexus from 1980, 81. You're doing Nexus projects now. You recently released I have so many questions with respect to what you're currently doing with Nexus. First of all, brilliant. Oh my God. First of all, brilliant. Just brilliant. Just brilliant,
Yes.
brilliant stuff. Holy moly, brilliant stuff. Talk to me about that. Talk to me how you got back into doing Nexus again. Talk to me about the fact that you're doing something so beautiful and important. Kevin, these single issues, they're like $1 a copy.
Yeah.
And I think we need to go back to that because we need to go back to inciting the imagination of young kids who can afford to buy a comic book that doesn't cost $6, $7 for a single issue. I think it's brilliant. So again, maybe too many questions, but talk to me about redoing Nexus and what's happening there. I think we're going to have an exclusive, Kevin, because I think the Battle for Thune World trade paperback just came out with you guys. So if you can show that to us.
Yeah, that's the book that has the omitted dialogue. I was going through it when it came back from the printer, and I said, Janelle, I think we got perfection here. And then I literally turned the next page, and it was that page.
It omitted it by mistake. Was it a mistake?
It was our mistake. Janelle was pushing the midnight oil to the point where it was ready to be doused out.
Oh gosh! Oh gosh! Oh
so
gosh!
hard to sing. And I only come in at the very end and remedy things then because I don't to come in at an earlier time when I'm not looking at the final is a waste of time. I'd rather be working on the stuff itself.
Makes sense.
But it got by us, and I think the phrase is "it is what it is." There's no other way to explain it. I didn't get mad about it. I was hurt, but I didn't blame anyone because I knew.
That's a great book.
Not at all. I mean,
is it a single page? Just a single page with no dialogue?
Well, when I saw the single page being with no dialogue, I was afraid to go past that and see a second one. So I just wisely, just kind of put a clamp on it right there. But no, it's traumatizing to see something that they would, Janelle and everyone else would say to me, well, just get it out. Well, okay, so I worked for 2 years in something that's just going to be, I'm just going to get it out. And it's going to be riddled with flaws and printing errors. Well, why would you even entertain thinking like that? The whole point of this thing is to do it right. Because if it's not right, it's wrong. And I don't care for wrongs.
Yeah, I understand that. It's the old conflict of the deadline, right?
Mm-hmm.
The publishers.
It wasn't even a deadline. I mean, I take my time with these things. I'm under no deadline pressure whatsoever. It's entirely up to me. The next story, Return to Earth. Here's what I've got for it so far. These are the thumbnails. Okay, there's page 1. There's page 2.
Wow. So this is beyond Battle for Thune World. You were working.
Yeah, this is the continued story of what happens after the Battle for Thune World, just like it was after the coming of Cormando.
Oh my gosh, Kevin! Do you realize what we're getting here, baby? That's beautiful.
This stuff is syncing up exactly the way I feel it inside, And that's the arbiter. That's the final judge for me is the feeling inside. I know I got it.
That's beautiful.
So
That's awesome.
I've taken it from some of the things that come out of you at first are very ordinary. And when you review them, oh, that's when you can see, oh, I see how this could be much better. And then you review them a third time and you say, ah, I can make this even much, much better.
Mhm.
That's
Wow.
exciting to me.
Yeah.
So when I eventually, get out the paper to do this stuff, which is on big paper like this, I can't wait to do it.
Yeah. I can imagine. I can imagine that feeling, that absolute feeling. So that's terrific. How are you in terms of publishing it? Because I have to say, as a absolute fan, I happen to be in Madison, Wisconsin, and I happened to walk by a comic book store, and I happened to meet Bruce Ayers,
Bruce Ayers,
and
yeah.
Bruce Ayers, and he happened to, we were talking, and we were talking about comic book art, and I mentioned how much of a fan of yours you came up. I didn't even realize you were from Wisconsin. That's stupid of me. And so he's like, oh yeah, he's publishing, Nexus. I picked
Mhm.
it up right away. How are you doing in terms of publishing? Because I think a lot of your fans are not aware that this stuff is out there to be purchased. And I think if they were, they would absolutely be buying it. And, omitted, no dialogue page, or not, your fans are going to forgive that. So several questions. Um, the first thing is the publishing thing, but I'll ask about, can you fix that error? So first question, um, in terms of publishing and getting it out there, how's that going, and what's the game plan around that?
As long as I'm not putting her under undue pressure, because learning the art of writing, which is entirely new to me, goes through so many drafts. You would choke on it if I told you how many lines have changed
I could
to make it.
imagine.
It's an unknown skill to me. It's not a natural skill whatsoever where the drawing is. So to take an unnatural skill and combine it with a natural skill, and have the attitude that you can do better. And the ironic thing is that it's true. Every time I look at a line and change it, it is better. But the problem comes in when I see it for the 10th time and it's still not better. Okay, that's a problem.
I understand. I understand perfectly.
That bothers me and it bothers Janelle too. But when you mention, there's so many people that don't even know that Nexus is back. Well, that's a matter of PR. And for the last 10 years, we've been trying to find a way to crack through the barriers that inhibit sales. As it is right now, we need $100,000 publish what I call the artist edition of Thune World,
Mhm.
and we traditionally get in about 1/3 of that. So something's not working, and we're trying desperately to remedy that. But without the base capital, you can't do it. We're just gonna lose the house, as Janelle has mentioned many times. We've almost lost the house due entirely to me.
Wow. Wow.
I'm just not bringing it in. I'm a poor provider. I do good work, but I'm a poor provider.
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't phrase it. I think what I would say is that, going back to what we were talking about before, what I would say is that you are one of the bright sparks in humanity, and there's a price to pay for that. And the reward is that you make people like idiots like myself and Kevin absolutely happy. The sacrifice is that for your art, the uncompromising way that you want to do your thing takes away from you. It takes, financially, there's sacrifices. I'm sure you could have sold out. I'm sure you could have gone to Marvel and just made money. And I think the integrity of your work, um, there's a price to pay for that. So it's not a lack of being a provider. I think it's an enormous amount of integrity and character. That's the way I
It's
choose to.
something bad, but you guys are being way too kind to me. The reality is, I need to haul in a lot of money to make this enterprise of Rude Dude Publishing work. And we're
But how do
not,
we do that? How do we promote that? In other words, with local comic book stores, for example, how do we reach out to them and say, look, promote Nexus, promote it at $1 a copy. Everyone will try it out at $1 a copy. I swear to God, I bought 5 books, Kevin. I walked away with 5 books, and I went to pay, and the total was like $5 and change. There's not a person who would not try the book, and I promise you, if they try it, they will love it.
They'll be,
So,
uh-huh.
so how do we reach out to the individual comic book stores and say, look, this is something that you need to promote? Can that be done?
well, there's nothing that can't be done. Remember, I don't believe in can't or no, but
Exactly.
what you're doing now is a big help. They're small steps, but they're how do you make anything without small steps?
Absolutely.
Small, careful, smart steps.